Lot of things on my mind. I done lived a little minute, done wasted all this time. Watching the clock on TikTok, waiting people out till they flip-flop. Going too fast, need a quick stop. Getting texts at 3 a.m. Why is he here? Yeah. Who do I feel? Why is he here? Choose ye today, who you gonna serve? Yeah, I say, it'll be Christ for me, Christ for me, Christ for me. It'll be Christ for me, Christ for me, Christ for me. It'll be Christ for me, Christ for me, Christ for me. It'll be Yasha for me, it'll be Yasha for me. It'll be Christ for me, Christ for me, Christ for me. It'll be Christ for me, Christ for me, Christ for me. It'll be Yasha for me, it'll be Yasha for me, it'll be Yasha for me. Yeah. We don't know where we're going, we don't know what you're sowing. You only know what you're reaping. You can pretend, you can live life. You ain't gotta worry, you ain't gon' die. It's alright, yeah. It's alright. A lot of things on my mind. I done lived a little minute, done wasted so much time, yeah. Watching the clock go tick-tock, waiting people out till they flip-flop. Going too fast, need a quick stop. I'm getting texts at 3 a.m. Why is he here? Yeah. Who do I feel? Why is he here? Yeah. Choose ye today, who you gonna serve? Yeah. And it'll be Christ for me, Christ for me, Christ for me, Christ for me, me. Christ for me, Christ for me. It'll be Yasha for me. It'll be Yasha for me, yeah. And it'll be Christ for me, Christ for me, Christ for me, Christ for me, me. Christ for me, Christ for me. It'll be Yasha for me. It'll be Yasha for me.
Hello and welcome, sisters and lovely ladies, to another live episode of Israelitesses United. I'm Sister Yaya, and I'm very happy to share with you all today a very special live episode here. We have our guests from God Family Nation here again. They will be in the house, two brothers from God Family Nation, and we just have a very exciting topic to share with you all. For those who are just tuning in for the first time, you can find us at Israelitesses.podbean.com, and that's bean as in B-E-A-N. So again, that's Israelitesses.podbean.com. And we are live every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's how you can follow us and tune in with us live. You can actually interact with us. If you download the Podbean app, then you can ask your questions live. You can call in and speak directly to our guests and participate directly in our topics, or you can just follow along and chat live with us. You can follow us again at Israelitesses.podbean.com, and you can get alerts and instant notifications when we have our next or upcoming live shows, so you can be in the know with us. And a special shout out again. I know I mentioned last week, but I'm very excited and I'm very blessed and happy that Yapaku on YouTube was able to share this opener with us, this song that you heard, Yasha for Me. And it's just a blessing that we got her support with our ministry. And if any of you sisters have music that you want to have featured here at Israelitesses United, then please share your music with us, and we will definitely feature your music. So that's always an opportunity for sisters, and we welcome that. If you also are interested in coming in as a guest one day, then we have several topics that we're going to be announcing hopefully soon. And definitely hit us up. Contact us. We have an Instagram page that we'll be sharing. We have our YouTube, Israelitesses United, and at Podbean, Israelitessesunited.podbean.com. You can leave a comment and contact us and let us know if you want to be a guest, and if so, what that topic would look like. And, we will definitely consider it. So keep that in mind. If you are not new and you have been enjoying our episodes, definitely spread the word. Share about our ministry with everybody you think might be interested, and just get the word out. Help us get the word out. All right. Well, sisters, we have a topic I mentioned, and that topic is, should we flee Babylon? If so, how? And this is something that you may have heard already in your walk as a Hebrewites or Israelitesses about fleeing Babylon. So we're going to talk about that, because I know there are some amongst us who do not believe we should flee from America, and there are some of us who do believe we should flee from America. And we're not, really going to say anyone's wrong or right tonight, but we definitely will be bringing information for everybody to consider. And one of the things that I wanted to say is that we did open it up for a guest to come on, if possible, who does not believe we should flee America or flee Babylon. But unfortunately, we didn't get anyone contact us to participate in this live show today. So we don't have that perspective that will be represented, naturally represented, but we can actually try our best to give a fair representation of the discussion today as best we can. So I just wanted to put it out there that, of course, there are some of us who do not believe that America's Babylon or that we should flee, and there are some of those of us who do believe that, and we're just going to discuss it today. And for those who do believe that we should be fleeing Babylon, we do want to give support. We do want to give tips, suggestions, maybe recommendations, how to go about doing it if you have no idea, or if you just need more information. Perhaps some of you have been doing research and you just want to hear a bit more information, which is always good. So we're going to be sharing tips about that. All right. And as I mentioned, we do have God Family Nation who will be here. We actually have one brother with us here live, and then we have another brother that will be coming shortly. And without further ado, I am going to turn it over to Brother Inayan. He is coming back. He was here with us last week, and we're very grateful and blessed to have him return. So he's going to just quickly share a little information about God Family Nation and how you can learn more about their ministry. Brother Inayan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Shalom, sis. How you doing?
All right, I'm doing well. And thank you so much for being here. We're so happy to have you again. And if you can please just share with the listeners how, or we can just start with what's God Family Nation and how to reach or follow God Family Nation for anyone interested.
Okay, so God Family Nation is a ministry that is geared towards the Africans throughout the diaspora, as well as the Native American and the Hispanics, and the 12 tribes scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. It is also for the Gentiles who are amongst the Israelites that choose to worship the Most High Power, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God Family Nation, we are on all major podcasts. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we are on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on all major platforms, especially we're on just about every podcast platform that you can think of. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Thank you again for sharing some information about God Family Nation. And again, those tuning in for the first time, we at Israelitesses United, we are a sisters group here. We come together to discuss issues, topics that are relevant to us and our communities, and generally just have fun, but definitely tackle some issues that affect us and try to come up with some solutions. And again, this is a group for Hebrewisses, Israelitesses, and Gentiles who believe and serve the Most High God of the Hebrews. So that's what we're all about here. We believe that we are here to deal, heal, and build. So that's what we do here. And thank you again, Brother Inayan from God Family Nation, for sharing about what you all do and what you have going on in your ministry. All right. So again, our topic, should we flee Babylon? If so, how? All right. So before I get into the topic, I just wanted to share a little information that I came across while I was just looking into this topic and just seeing what's out there that can be used for information to inform sisters about what's going on. But of course, those of us from America, from the United States, we do have good insight as to what's going on there in America with the racism, with political violence, with COVID-19 and how ineffective and inefficient the response was. And I'm not saying that the healthcare workers and safety workers and all the people who risk their lives and are doing things for care and support for everyone who's suffering from any type of aftermath or effects of COVID-19. I'm not trying to undermine what anyone has done, any individual, but I'm saying as a nation, the United States did drop the ball with COVID because it has some of the worst cases and worst statistics being reported. So it was surprising and shocking to the rest of the world how badly the U.S. was hit by COVID. So that's what I meant. I'm not saying any one person or team or a group of healthcare workers and people in that industry didn't do their best. I'm not saying that whatsoever, but as a whole, the United States just didn't meet expectations. And I'm saying that because I've actually talked to people and I've actually read responses around the world, how shocking the U.S. Being hit and how its reaction to COVID just was surprising and disturbing to some countries. All right, because the U.S. is looked at as a global leader. So those are some of the problems that the U.S. has been facing. I know there has been this recent presidential election and just all of the different issues that's been kind of just wearing and tearing the American people. And with these things happening, it has greatly impacted and diminished the quality of life in America. And a lot of people have jumped ship, so to speak. And when I say a lot of people, I'm talking about different ethnicities in the U.S. So there's not just one ethnicity or nationality that I'm going to pinpoint as far as race goes, I would say. But I would just say people have been leaving. And why do I say people have been leaving? Well, I actually came across some information. I've been reading some articles and I found out that within the first 6 months of 2020, this year, close to 6,000 Americans renounced their American citizenship, their U.S. citizenship. So that's 6,000 people this year within the first 6 months of this year, renounced their U.S. citizenship. Now, why is that a problem? Well, it's a problem because in 2019, for the whole year, about 2,000 people renounced their citizenship. So we're seeing a significant increase within the first 6 months of this year. So why is this occurring? Well, everyone can kind of draw their conclusions, but we as American citizens, we know why, someone would even consider renouncing their American citizenship, just kind of looking at what's been going on within the past few years in the country. And then I read another article, and this one was a Forbes article. August 2020 was the date for this article, and the title was Escape from America, 5 cheapest places to move if you want to leave U.S. So that was the name of this article, Escape from America. That was the title. All right. And in that article, I found some very interesting statistics there and figures. One of the things that I read in the article that was it just grabbed me right away was there was a specific website devoted to helping people relocate if they want to relocate. And this website is called International Living. Well, this particular website had a huge spike in web traffic this year. Actually, between the months of May and August of this year, they had a 945% spike in web traffic. So that meant that tons of people were flocking to this particular website for information how to get out of America specifically. So that's one of the surprising things that I read in this Forbes article. And I was like, wow. And then another surprising fact I read was about 250,000 Americans looked into New Zealand. And this is coming from Immigration New Zealand. So that government office or department sent this figure that about 250,000 Americans looked into trying to possibly relocate to New Zealand. So, and New Zealand is one of the most popular places for people of all nationalities, all countries to try to migrate to or immigrate to. So, but for Americans, it was about 250,000 this year looking into New Zealand, according to that office. So with that being said, I just wanted to just share that there are people of different races and backgrounds in America actually looking at getting out. So as Hebrewisses, I would just say maybe we should consider what's going on as well. We should consider, and then we should also be doing one step further. We should be looking at what the Bible is saying about our circumstance, our condition as a people, and what exactly we should be doing right now. So I wanted to get into that. I shared a little bit of that information just to kind of I guess, have us be mindful that there are things happening in America we should definitely be paying attention to. A lot of people are saying they have options and they're actually leaving or looking into leaving. So what should we be doing as Israelitesses? So we'll get into that now. One of the things I wanted to kind of talk about before we get into how we could possibly move if we need to is, should we be leaving? Should we be moving at all? And I mentioned already that some Israelitesses, some of the Hebrew Israelite community do not believe that America is a problem. Maybe we shouldn't be leaving at all. Does the Bible actually say we should be leaving? So not everybody believes that. Everybody has their own perspective on the scriptures and pertaining to fleeing Babylon or fleeing America specifically. So I wanted to kind of just tackle some of those questions that could possibly come up sometimes and just see what the scriptures are saying about it. And again, everybody has their own interpretation, and you have to go with what wisdom is telling you and what the Most High God is sending you, and definitely look at the scriptures for yourself. I know we're all taught different things, but I always encourage very strongly for each sister to go directly into the scriptures. Pray before you go into the scriptures and then see what the Most High God reveals to you. So at the end of the day, the Most High can speak to you directly just as he will speak to anybody else directly. So seek him first, ask for him to speak to you and show you and give you understanding. And then let him guide you into the scriptures, and he'll share what you need to find or learn about what he has to say about this specific topic. All right, but I do have some questions, and Brother Inayan, I would like to ask you and get your perspective on these questions if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, so the first question I wanted to ask, and I know I hear so much and I've heard so much, and even I myself believe America is Babylon, so I will put that out there. But according to the Bible, from your perspective, where is Babylon? What does the Bible have to say about Babylon?
Well, according to the Bible, modern day Babylon would be so-called America. Okay, so we have ancient Babylon, and then we have modern day Babylon, which the Bible talks about in the book of Isaiah, the book of Zechariah, as well as in the book of Jeremiah. Okay, so Babylon, or the word or name Babylon, is sort of kind of a metaphor for modern day America. And I want to get some scriptures for it if you don't mind. So first I'm going to go to Jeremiah 51 and 49, right? It says, as Babylon have caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth. Now, one thing that we all know is that ancient Babylon was not this melting pot. Modern day Babylon, so-called America, is a melting pot. You have all nations that come to America. America consists of all ethnicities, all nations, all tongues, all kindreds, right? So that's why I said the slain of all the earth will be in Babylon. I'm going to go to Jeremiah 51:9 next. It says, "We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country." Now, it's interesting that you just brought up the research that you did showing that you have people that's seeking to find, living and, different things like that outside of the country of America. You have people getting their passports at an all-time rate. You have these different minority groups like the Asians and things like that actually going back to their countries, going back to Asia. They're pulling their money out of America, pulling out the stocking system and things like that, as well as shutting down their businesses and reopening them back up in different countries. So that speaks to that as well. People are forsaking America and they're actually leaving America. Matter of fact, if you look it up right now online, they said all the wealthy and the rich has basically left the island of Manhattan, which is in New York. I'm going to continue with the scripture. It says, "For her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies." And that's one out of a few scriptures to show that Babylon is actually talking about America.
Okay, thank you so much. And it's something interesting that you mentioned as well when you were just giving your response. You mentioned that different ethnic groups are going to their different embassies and they're starting to try to return back to their native countries or maybe the countries where their parents originally came from as before they immigrated to the U.S. Like Asians, like different people from the Middle East are starting to go back and saying, we're going to pack up and go back where we originally come from. So that's something in my experience, I have actually seen that to be true. So I can agree with you, and maybe some of the sisters out there can attest to it as well, that has been happening. And I remember when I was at the post office and I was getting my passport application, and one of the things that I remember the postal worker saying is that he was so surprised in his, I think, almost 12 years, maybe longer, of working as a postal worker. He had never seen so many different people applying, putting their applications in to get their passports, and he was seeing Asians, and he was just seeing a lot of other people, other ethnic groups coming to get their passports and just trying to get that process going to try to, I guess, get out. But he had noticed it, and he'd been working for the post office for a number of years, and he hadn't seen that many people in 1 year coming. So it caught his attention is what I'm trying to say. And this is a postal worker, and this is what he does. And this caught his attention, and this was like years ago. So
yeah, it's actually statistics that speak to a lot of that, showing how the numbers have just been soaring within like the past 12 years. I believe now I'm probably going to misquote it, but if I'm not mistaken, at one point you probably had about 1 in every 12 Americans who had their passport. Now you got about, I believe, 4 in every 12 Americans who actually have their passport. So people are definitely, they're seeing something that's going on. People are actually, making ways to go ahead and get their passport and, try to seek for living elsewhere outside of America.
Okay, and we should definitely be exploring our options too. As Israelitesses, we need to be paying attention to what's going on around in our community, what some of these other groups are doing, and seeing like, okay, what's going on? Should we be doing anything as well? Should we be preparing? I see a guest has entered our live studio, and I just wanted to welcome our guest to Israelitesses United. And if you have any questions by chat, definitely share them. If you want to call in and ask any question at any point, we welcome you. So I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge we have a guest, and we're blessed to have a guest enter. Brother Inayan, are you ready for the next question that I have?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So one of the things that I wanted to ask as well is, how do we know Christ is Christ coming to America? How do we know what's going to happen there? Because some people believe that we should be leaving America. Some people believe we should not be leaving America, that Christ is going to come get us from America. So what is your understanding on that?
Okay. Unfortunately, well, I'm not going to say unfortunately. Things have to play out the way that they have to play out according to prophecy. But from my understanding, according to the scriptures, Christ is not coming to America. Christ is not coming to America to deliver the children of Israel or anybody else. America will already be dealt with by the time Christ comes back. Okay, I'm going to get two scriptures for that. First, I'm going to get Jeremiah 51 and 4 through 6 of the graphic. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 51, verses 4 through 6. It says, "Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans." That's talking about the land of Babylon, right? It says, "And they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel have not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God, of the Most High of hosts. Though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul." So notice this. It didn't say that Christ was going to deliver his people out of the land of Babylon, aka America. It said, flee out of the midst of Babylon, and every man deliver his soul. So you have to deliver your own soul. Now, Christ is still going to deliver us out of Babylon in a sense, which is more of a spiritual thing, because what we have to understand is we have to be spiritual. We have to seek the Most High law, statutes, and commandments. And then the Most High will open up doors and different avenues for us to be able to make that migration, for us to be able to, actually get out of Babylon. I'm going to continue reading. It says, "Be not cut off in her iniquity." So what will happen is, if you stay in Babylon, even if you're not an evil person, you're going to be cut off in her iniquity, because that place has to go down according to prophecy. America must be destroyed. It says, "For this is the time of the Most High's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense." So the Most High is going to repay America for everything that they did to the children of Israel, as well as through all these other nations throughout the four corners of the earth. The rape, rob, and murder that America is built on, and how America basically goes to war with people, turn them into tributaries, do the natives bad, kill off innocent people, and all different types of things like that. That's it.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And it sounds as though from what you read that the Most High is looking for us to actually get out ourselves, and he's going to take care of us. I know, because I've never seen the Most High forsake anyone who is righteous. It's in the scripture, and I've seen it within my walk that the righteous is never forsaken. So we don't have anything to worry about. But it's saying from what you've read, we should not be waiting around for some Calvary. We need to get out. Is that correct?
That's exactly what I'm saying. There will not be a Moses this time. It's not going to be one single man that's going to, bring us out of this captivity. It's going to be the Most High and strictly the Most High. He requires for you to put your own brick in. He requires for you to do the work. He's not going to do everything for you. He wants for you to prepare like the ants.
Okay, and we know faith without works is dead.
Exactly.
All right, so thank you again for that, those scriptures, and thank you so much for sharing that insight. All right. Well, for those of us who are convinced that we should be leaving, and those of us who believe that the word of the Most High is saying we should flee America specifically, and any other place that we believe we should be coming out from, where should we flee to exactly?
Okay, that's a really good question. Okay, give me 1 second while I get the scripture. Okay, now this is the book of Isaiah. You know what? Let me see. Give me 1 second. I want to see if I actually want to start there in Isaiah. I might want to start somewhere else real quick. Give me 1 second. One second. Sorry. Okay. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 3 scriptures very quickly. All right. I'm going to get 2nd Esdras chapter 9, verse 7 through 8. Now, 2nd Esdras, as well as the book of 1st Esdras, is found in the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha is a collection of about 17 books that was taken out of the original KJV version of the Bible, which is known as the 1611 KJV. It was taken out by the Protestant Church during the year 1845, which is 20 years before slavery ended. What's so important about these collection of books is that it contains the history that happened during the Greek Empire. Because we know, according to the book of Daniel in the Bible, you had 4 major empires. You had the Babylonian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire, the Greek Empire, and the Roman Empire. The Old Testament leaves off in the Medo-Persian Empire. The New Testament picks up in the Roman Empire. So in between those 2 empires, you had the Greek Empire, which is not written about in the Bible necessarily. So in order to get that information, you have to go to the Apocrypha, which is a book that is inspired by God because it was originally in the Canaanized version 1611 of the KJV Bible. So I'm going to go to it real quick. It's 2nd Esdras 9 and 7 through 8. It says, "And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby he believe, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning." So the Most High said the people that's going to be saved in these last days and times that come out of America and out of all these different countries is going to be within his borders and within his land. So that's the geographical location that they have to make it to. So let's see exactly where this land is, right? Let's go to Isaiah. Well, before we go to Isaiah, let's go to Jubilees, and I'm going to start at verse 17 through 19. It says, "This portion came forth by lot for Shem and his sons." Now, at this point in the book of Jubilees, this is Noah dividing the different portions of land to his 3 sons, right? So now he's giving Shem and the sons of Shem their portion of the land. It says, "This portion came forth by lot for Shem and his sons, that they should possess it forever unto his generations forevermore. And Noah rejoiced that this portion came forth for Shem and for his sons, and he remembered all that he had spoken with his mouth in prophecy. For he had said, Blessed be the power or the God of Shem, and may God dwell in the dwelling of Shem." So that land is where God dwelled, which is where Shem was given territory at. Verse 19 says, "And he knew that the Garden of Eden is the Holy of Holies." So the Garden of Eden is within the land of Shem. It says, "And the dwelling of the Lord," which is talking about the city of Jerusalem, right? Because in the Old Testament, God said he put his name in the city of Jerusalem. It says, "And Mount Sinai, the center of the desert." Mount Sinai is in modern day Saudi Arabia. It's on the border of Jordan and Saudi Arabia. It says, "And Mount Zion," which is a place that's in the land of Israel in the southern portion, which is known as Judah. It says, "The center of the navel of the earth." These 3 were created as holy places facing each other. So these 3 were created as holy places. Now remember, when we read before in 2nd Esdras 9 and 8, it says, the Most High preserved, give me 1 second. It says, "For I have sanctified them for me from the beginning." So that's that land that was sanctified. It was the land of Shem. Now, let's go to Isaiah 11 and 11. Let's go to Isaiah 11 and 11. It says, and now this is going to be very detailed with the places that people need to try to get to. It says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the Most High shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, what shall be left from Assyria." Assyria is modern day Iraq. It's the northern part of Iraq. It says, "And from Egypt and from Pathros." So Pathros is southern Egypt. It's on the border between Egypt and Sudan, right? It says, and from Cush. Ancient Cush is modern day Sudan. So this is not Ethiopia. This is modern day Sudan, okay? It says, and from Elam. Elam is the western part of Iran or Iran. It borders Iraq. It says, and from Shinar. Shinar is the southern portion of modern day Iraq, which would be known as ancient Babylon. And from Hamath. Hamath would be modern day Lebanon, right? It says, and from the islands of the sea. When you look into the islands of the sea, that's talking about places like Crete and Cyprus, these different islands that are known as the Mediterranean islands. And those are the places where we should be looking or seeking to go eventually before Christ's return. These are the places that Christ is recovering his people from.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that, because that is one of the questions I often hear from people, from sisters, from brothers, from anybody who's interested in fleeing Babylon, is exactly where should we be going? And we're not saying dive in and go to these places. We're saying this is what the Bible says will be some safe havens. So always do everything you do in wisdom. Do your research, make sure you understand what you're getting into and what the climate is in some areas. And by no means are we saying just jump, blindly into anything. But according to the word of the Most High, these are those places that will be safe havens. Okay. We have Brother Palal that just joined us from God Family Nation, just made it in. Brother Palal, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear y'all. Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
loud and clear. Welcome to Israelitesses United. We're happy to have you join your first appearance here. So I'm glad that you made it in. And what we were just, as you heard, your brother over here was talking about some of the safe havens, but because you just came in, do you want to introduce yourself or just let anyone know anything in particular about GFN?
No, we can just go ahead and get into it. I'm good. I ain't gotta introduce myself.
Okay. All right. So we tackled a few questions. One, where is Babylon? Two, is Christ coming to America? Should anybody be staying there waiting on Calvary? And three, for those of us who are convinced we should be leaving America, where should we flee to? So we tackled those questions and we talked about some issues going on in America. And for us specifically as the Hebrew Israelite community, we need to be looking to the scriptures and looking to the Most High God as far as our lead, what we should be doing. And from what Brother Inayan shared, we should be leaving. And a lot of people are already leaving America who are not within the Hebrew Israelite community, and they're leaving because they're going to other countries, they're exploring, they're taking vacations, and they're saying like, wow, hey, you know what? I like what I'm seeing in some of these other places. The healthcare system is different. You actually have free healthcare in some of these places. They take care of the people. You get time off if you have a baby. If you have children, then you get paid leave for that. And some places you can go to college for free. You don't have to get into all this debt and student loan debt just to go and get you a bachelor's degree or something like that. You can go into school for free in some places. I believe Germany is one of them. So I'm just saying that people are exploring, people from America, people in general are exploring their options. They're looking at the lower crime rates. I know places in the Middle East. I know places in Asia like Japan where the crime rate is low and they do not have guns. So that's a big difference coming from America where this is like gun country to somewhere where a gun is actually prohibited. It is against the law to even have a gun, one gun. No one can have a gun. So we're looking at possibly safer places. We are looking at laid back lifestyles where you don't have to, work yourself into the ground just to have a good, decent quality of life and standard of living. Your dollar can go much further in some of these other countries around the world. And some people are starting to see that. They're traveling and saying, you know what, for this same dollar, I can get this, and this, my dollar goes a long way somewhere else. So what's your take on that?
I mean, you said a good amount. Definitely it's a lot easier outside of the states when it comes to eating wise. You know, a lot of the food is better. You know what I'm saying, outside of the states and stuff like that. So people can definitely experience a better eating lifestyle outside of the states and stuff like that too. I mean, sure. I mean, just coming, especially being a Black American living in the states. You know what I mean? If you take that initiative to go out and adventure and see what else the world has to offer, then you would, you know what I'm saying, it would definitely open some minds and about when it comes to our people as Black Americans and stuff like that. But sure, I mean, it is a time where people really need to think about trying to leave the states and look for something elsewhere that's out there, because we can't keep on putting all our eggs in one basket, which is in America. And when if something happened to America, if America explodes, you know what I'm saying, if America just get eradicated or something like that, then our people, we gonna be in a deeper situation than we already in now. So just thinking outside the box, people should already trying to be thinking outside the box, just like the elite of this world is doing right now. And they taking their assets and taking everything and they moving into offshore countries and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So we need to start thinking about trying to maneuver outside of that paradigm America that they gave us, and that's just outside of scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Because the scriptures tell us already to make our way back east. You know what I'm saying? Now, for somebody who's a Bible believer and things like that, then it's easy to be shown in the scriptures that we're supposed to be making our way back east. But for people who not even don't believe in the Bible, you know what I'm saying, or not even really, you know what I'm saying, agreeing with, you know, migrating outside to another country. But even if you give them the thought that, look, life is better outside of America. And then see what is a lot of people. What people don't travel. You know, people don't travel a lot. People don't travel. And then when people travel, they only go into certain places where it's like resorts or certain things that like to certain places where most people always think about a vacation, like Jamaica. You know what I'm saying, or something like that, or Hawaii. You know what I mean, things places like that where it still puts you. And then when people go to Jamaica, they don't even go to they don't go inside the city for real. They on resorts. You know what I'm saying? When people go to Hawaii, they're not really inside the city for real. But they going on resorts. So people learn to travel through those places that's given to us to look at as vacations or something like that. You know what I mean? Majority of our people ain't gonna really take that initiative and be like, okay, let me go travel to Africa. Let me go all the way into a certain part in South America that's not that's not put out there for us to go visit, like Mexico or something like that. Something where they got little certain things fixed up, and when we get there, they got resorts and all that things fixed up. Like, let's go to somewhere where it's not so much like that. Let's travel. You know what I'm saying? The thing is, we don't travel. Black people don't travel. You know what I mean? And I think they made it like that for us to not even want to travel like that. And so these times that we in right now, when it's a crucial time for our people to be thinking about traveling, thinking about going other places, setting our minds on other, you know what I'm saying, our minds and our eyes on other places, you know what I'm saying, outside of that country. You know what I mean? But so that's how I feel about the situation. I mean, I know there's a lot of questions you asked though, but I couldn't
Yeah, I
hit
wanted
all
to
of them.
say too. You're right. It seems like they give us the guidelines or like the confines of what places we can travel to. You know what I'm saying? Like they only promote certain places on TV. Come to Jamaica and feel all right and things like that, right? But the thing is, it
Hmm.
seems like people don't travel for knowledge or for culture or to experience things. They only travel for vacations and vacations only. and only to have fun. But they not going, look, the world is big. You know what I'm saying? But yet they just relegate us to places like you said, like Hawaii, Jamaica, and different things like this. Like it's a whole, it seems like our people are afraid of the unknown. So because we all know somebody that been to Jamaica, or we heard of somebody that been to Jamaica, all right, that's where we gonna go. We not gonna go over to the Eastern Hemisphere because that's unknown, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people they don't like, for example, when you look into the scriptures, you will see Abraham. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't afraid of the unknown. The Most High told him to get up and go. You know what I'm saying? He got up and went. You know what I mean? He wasn't scared of the unknown. But that's how, like you said, they put these certain places, you know what I'm saying, for us to travel at. They put those certain places out there, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? And even when you go to like Dominican Republic and stuff like that, they take people to these resorts, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. So it's like they give us the paradigm to travel within. Even when they set up cruises and certain things like that, they give us a certain paradigm. They don't want us to take the initiative and go out, you know what I'm saying, on faith, or just go out just because we have that traveling, you know what I'm saying, exploring, you know what I'm saying, mindset, and go and just, and you know what I'm saying, explore and touch ground on new land and stuff like that. Because like the Bible say, much wisdom come with a man that travels. So it's like, if you going, it's wisdom in traveling. You know what I'm saying? It's things you can learn and things you can take back, you know what I'm saying, with you to your people, you know what I'm saying, because you done seen something, you know what I mean, because you done witnessed something, because you done seen some new type of way, or you done learned something, you know what I'm saying, by going around and witnessing different culture, you know what I'm saying, cultures and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's wisdom that come with that. It's things that come with that that you cannot get just being stationary in one area of the world. You know what I mean? So it's like it's and when you look at it, the prophets they used to go around moving around, you know what I'm saying, going around places, different places in Jerusalem, traveling, you know what I'm saying? Like when you look at the scriptures, and on top of that, Christ and the disciples, what they do, they travel. You know what I'm saying? Traveling, you know what I mean? It's a part of the gospel, for real.
Yeah.
Cause that's how the word goes around, word of mouth.
Yeah. It seemed like maybe they're afraid of us traveling because if we travel, we'll become a liability because we might find out something that they don't want us to know that they hide from us on the Western Hemisphere. Like, for example, we had Malcolm X, right? Malcolm X traveled. He came to Egypt. He went to Mecca. And then when he went back, he started telling, now, although I don't agree with Islam, but he started telling people, that the Islam that they were practicing over there, which was the Nation of Islam, that form of Islam was not the original Islam. And then he became, basically a threat to Islam. Not too long after that, they killed him. So sometimes when you travel, you might actually learn a thing or two that can actually possibly make you, dangerous, basically.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, because they. Now you go.
Oh, no. Go ahead. I was hearing some feedback, but I don't hear it right now. But yeah, definitely go ahead.
Yeah, I hear that too. I don't know who that is.
Okay. All right. And we have another guest that just entered the live studio. Welcome so much to Israelitesses United. We are joined here today by two brothers from God Family Nation, Brother Inayan and Brother Palal. If you have a question, you can type it here live and we can be able to see your question and respond or address it. If you want to call in and ask a question directly at any time, feel free to just call in and go ahead and speak with us live. Welcome again. And we're going to continue. Thank you so much. And both of you brothers brought out some very key things when you were just discussing why are people, should kind of like, I guess, branch out a little bit and open our eyes to some new experiences and not just, I guess, stay stagnant one place. And one of the things that you mentioned, and I was thinking about this too, before you mentioned it, was our forefathers, just like you mentioned Abraham. When the Most High said go, there was no second guessing like, oh, well, I've never been there before, or, I don't know what's there. he got up and went, and he is the friend of the Most High because he was faithful and he obeyed the Most High. And we should be doing the same exact thing. If the Most High is putting it in our hearts and in our spirits and it's on our mind all the time, we should be getting out, moving somewhere, or we should be at least going to visit somewhere. We should be following that, what the Most High is speaking to us. And you mentioned Christ, and I was thinking of the same thing. Christ was everywhere. Like Christ was, traveling, and we are supposed to be spreading the good news, right? We should be spreading the gospel. We can't really be as effective if we're not going out to all of our people as much as we can. So that might mean leaving the comfort of everything you've always known and go out to do the Most High's work. And Paul definitely, was around. He, was able to help build so many churches and get the gospel out to so many different places. And we have so many wonderful books in the New Testament because Paul was very active. It wasn't just sitting around one place saying, I'm just going to write letters and I'm going to have a letter writing ministry. He was out there, meeting people and traveling to different places and just being a forerunner in that way. And I know one of the things that you brothers mentioned is that our people don't go, and there's certain places that are more so promoted that we should go, like the Bahamas and different Caribbean islands and Hawaii, which is still the United States. It's like we didn't leave the U.S. when we went. If we go to Hawaii, we're still in the U.S. So one of the things I've noticed is that fear keeps a lot of us back from traveling certain places in particular. And I know, like, for me, I've been outside of the U.S. for a number of years, and I moved and I've been, living in the Middle East, but a lot of people are scared to even travel or even think about, the Middle East because of propaganda and the news. And I think it's a lot of things that are intentionally targeting certain places so we don't ever consider those places. Like in Africa, we see all the worst pictures and images and videos that we can think about. And a lot of us, we believe that because we don't know. And when you don't know, you just don't know. But until you actually, I guess, muster up that courage to just take a leap of faith and just go out there and see for yourself. And that is so, for the mind, for your spirit, that is so liberating to go see something for yourself. But I wanted to just say fear holds us back, and it's not our fault a lot of times. It's what's being fed to us through the media. How do you brothers feel about that?
Me personally, I definitely agree, and that's a point I want to speak to also. Man, listen, we are the children of slaves, right? We owe it to our forefathers. We owe it to our God to at least leave out of America just to travel and see what's out there, see where we come from, find out what our culture was, find out what our culture was before we went to America, find out what it was before we got to Africa, right? And it's crazy because this I always looked at. Now, I'm not condemning anybody that's in America or anybody that want to stay in America. That's perfectly fine. But you owe it to yourself to get off the plantation at least once in your life before you die. You have to get off the plantation. Like, I know a lot of us are pro-black, right? Pro-black or pro-this or pro-that, right? But we don't even want to leave the place of our captivity. We don't even want to visit nowhere outside of the place of our captivity. That just baffles me, the fact that some of us are so pro-black and so this and so that, so pan-African, but yet we don't even want to visit Africa. We scared just like the regular people, that we claim is not woke or who eyes are not enlightened. That's it.
Yeah, and the rest of the world, they're watching us. Mm-hmm. Just like I read that Ghana, and I know Ghana had this big initiative, the Year of Return 2019, and I'm not by any means saying anybody should, just jump straight into something blindly, but I know I read in the summer during the whole heat of the George Floyd incident, I noticed that Ghana said, listen, you have options, Black people. We have options, African Americans and people of the diaspora. We have options. You don't have to stay where you're not wanted. And this was coming from Ghana. They were saying you do not have to stay where you are not wanted. You can come here and we can help you build a new life. So I'm just saying the rest of the world is looking at what's happened to us as a people, and there is support some places. And even if there isn't, maybe we should consider something different sometimes, go see the rest of the world and, maybe even see where we think we came from. For a lot of us, we have some ideas where we may come from. Have we ever taken that step to go actually visit and see that place? All right.
Yeah.
And
Some people, my bad, Palal, go ahead.
Now go ahead. Say what you about to say, bro.
No, I was just gonna say a lot of us are scared to step out on faith too. You know what I'm saying? It actually takes faith to leave somewhere that you grew up and it's all you know. You know what I'm saying? So we have to take a step out on faith. And I'm not saying you got to move to Africa. I'm not saying that. I'm not telling you what to do at all. But I at least think you should try to visit at least.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like your Pat was saying, it's a lot of, places that's welcoming our people. You know what I mean? That's like, you know what I'm saying? Like Tanzania, the whole time during the pandemic, you know what I'm saying? During this so-called pandemic, Tanzania ain't never closed their border. You know what I'm saying? Tanzania, I heard as soon as you get off the airplane, you ain't gotta worry about wearing no mask no more. As soon as you land down and as soon as you land in Tanzania. You know what I'm saying? The officials there tell you take your mask off. You know what I mean? And so it's places, you know what I'm saying, that's welcoming. You know what I'm saying? Like the sister was talking about Ghana. Ghana always had their arms open for our people to come. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Africa always welcome for our people. You know what I'm saying? Like we said, we're not telling anybody to move to Africa. We're just saying just think outside the box. You know what I'm saying? It's a big world out here. You know what I mean? Just really think outside the box and don't be scared. Don't be scared to travel. Don't be scared to move outside your comfort zone. You know what I mean? For real.
exactly. And we're not just sharing this information and sharing our perspective as people who are just, ourselves not doing it and not practicing what we preach. Every one of us, we have taken that leap. We have ventured out. We have visited places outside the U.S. We have lived in places outside the U.S. So we know we have a certain level of knowledge, wisdom, and expertise, so to speak, in traveling outside the U.S. and how we can actually do that safely in a smart way and actually be able to make a life, create a life outside the U.S. So we do have that kind of knowledge behind us. We're not just saying, hey, let's do this as a people, and we ourselves didn't do anything, So you can take comfort and be reassured that we have insight because we have firsthand knowledge, And welcome. We have another guest that entered the live studio. Welcome to Israelitesses United. And we are joined today by two brothers from God Family Nation, Brother Palal, Brother Inayan. And we have tackled the topic, should we flee Babylon? If so, how? And we've already gotten into, should we be doing it? And I know a lot of people within the Hebrew Israelite community, they believe one way or the other. So for those who actually believe we should flee, we do have some good information that we're going to share with you. You don't have to worry about just doing this by yourself because some of us have already done it. So with that being said, I would like to go into some tips to help brothers and sisters, mainly sisters, because that's our audience, but there could be some brothers listening as well. It's happened before. So I wanted to go into some tips how we can do that in a safe, smart way, because like I mentioned, some of us have already done this, and there are things, looking back, you may have done differently. And I'm always the kind of person, if I can help someone else avoid a pitfall or to do something better than I did, I'm always going to do that. So that's what I would like for us to do today, if possible. And one of the things that came to my mind, and I actually did this, and I'm sure all of us have done this, is make sure if the Most High puts a place on your spirit and he says, go to this place, and you are faithful and you say, yes, Father, I'm going to go. I don't know exactly what's going to happen when I get there, but I know that you are the most high power of the Hebrews and you got me covered. I'm going, Father. So if you do, definitely research the laws, the regulations, the visa requirements of any place before you get there. Know how that works. Know how you can renew your visa once it expires, because it is going to expire. Know what the laws are, like I mentioned before, because every place is not designed like America. And like I mentioned before, some places you can't even have certain weapons like a gun. So it's good to know what the laws are beforehand. In some places in the Middle East, you have to be more covered than some people are actually, I guess, used to having to cover in the United States. It's not as liberal. Some places around the world are more conservative in the dress, with the dress code. So we need to know certain things before we just jump out there. Do you brothers have anything you want to share about that particular thing, about researching and knowing about the country before one just goes somewhere new?
Palal, you want to
Oh
go?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Do your diligent research. If it's a country that you're looking to go into, go on there. Use the internet. The internet is a great help right now in these times. Use the internet. Search about the place that you interested in going. Learn about the currency, the foreign exchange there. What's the rate there? Learn about that. Learn like Sister was saying about the visa, because you don't want to be somewhere. You want to you want to try your best to be legal. You know what I'm saying, the best way you can, especially if you're trying to, spread the gospel in that area and stuff like that. You want to, so find out the legalities, the legal things that's going to help you. In the long run in that country, when it comes to like a visa, work permit. How long your visa may be, how can you obtain a work permit. Maybe even looking into citizenship, in that country to get even dual citizenship. That's something that's recommended. I recommend you looking into dual citizenship, to whatever country you decide on. Set a goal. Definitely set a goal. Reach that goal. But I definitely want to tell people that one of the things that a lot of people who I know who moved out the country and was living out the country for a long period of time, one of the things that they tell me that they wish they could have did was go travel to that place first. Visit that place first. Before making a decision. Because that is a life changing decision. Living outside of a country that you've been living in since you was, forever. So it is a big move moving outside the country. I recommend people go visit it first. Go visit whatever country you're looking into. Visit to get a feel for it. And just do your research. Like I said, set a goal. Set a goal that you maybe can reach for a time limit. You go, okay, for this certain amount of months, maybe 12, 15 months, I'm going to save this much amount of money. I know the currency, the foreign exchange rate over there. So I'm going to save this amount of money, have money set aside for living expenses. Look at what it is to how much it is per month to live somewhere there. These just the real fundamental things that anybody would use to move to a new city or to a new state. Just take those fundamentals and expand on those. That's pretty much it, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both of y'all gave some real good, information for people who may be seeking to try to move eventually outside of the States. I really just have one thing I wanted to add. Basically, as a foreigner, see what type of employment options you have, basically, as a foreigner. That's pretty much it.
Okay, and that's actually what I was going to get to. I was going to say, before you go, try to figure out how you're going to be making money before you get there. And that can be along the lines of an online job. Maybe the job that you're working at or working on has a remote position where they need someone to work, completely online. You can look into that. Or maybe your job is having some type of relocation program where they need someone overseas to work, in another department or another office they have overseas. Or maybe you can find an online job outside of your current job, just something that's completely online in a different industry, maybe, or just within your same profession. Yeah. And even if you don't start a new job or online job, even an online business, maybe you can launch your own online business or work as a freelancer online. The freelance industry has grown exponentially, especially in the wake of COVID-19. So there are some options how to make money. Even one thing I noticed recently is becoming a notary public. Now that's online. Of course, you have to be sworn in your state. So you have to be in your physical state to be sworn in and become a notary public. But once you become a notary public, you can apply to be an online notary public. And then you're making buku money online, notarizing things. And you can do that from anywhere.
And your dollar go a whole lot farther too, wherever you're going to be at.
Exactly. So I think, looking at how one can make money before going to the country is the best move. And I would always recommend that.
Yeah. I also just wanted to add that all these things should be done or at least started while you're still in the States. That way you don't have to leave and then come back and do it. Also, another thing you want to make sure that you do is that any type of legal paperwork or, IDs, Social Security, driver's license, non-driver's license, any type of paperwork that you can think of possible, try to make sure that you get it updated or that it's or that is actually, valid before you move. That way you don't have to come back and, deal with paperwork and things like that.
Absolutely. And not just ID cards, any cards you have, credit cards, bank cards, make sure they are not close to being expired because they need to be valid and active and ready to be used because you will need those overseas as well. Even certificates. Some of our brothers and sisters may have certifications like teaching certifications, may have nursing certification. Get those certifications up to date and current before leaving because you never know if that may be something you need while you're out. And if it has expired or it's invalid, then now you have to figure out what to do about that. And it's much better to just have it current or updated before you leave if you plan to leave.
It's also good to get different type of teaching certificates like TOEFL. How you say it? Is it TOEFL or TEFL?
They have TOEFL, they have TESOL, they have TEFL. Yeah, they have a lot of them.
Yeah, all those different, different certifications and things like that. You can try to get at least one or maybe a few of them. That way, when you leave America, you can actually legally teach teach in the education field outside of America. That's also a way to make good money. You can also get different online jobs that allow for you to be able to teach different students, worldwide and things like that as well. Via internet.
Definitely. And getting those teaching certificates to teach as a foreign language is very, very important, very, very necessary if you want to migrate and you don't really have any other kind of way to make money. You don't really have an online job. You don't want to start your own business. That's something you can almost always fall back on different places around the world is a teaching certificate to teach English as a foreign language. You can get your certification online. You just have to go through the course. You pay the money. And I've seen it as low as maybe like $20 some places online. Yeah. To get your TEFL or your TESOL certification to teach English as a foreign language. I would always recommend get that. Even if you don't think you're going to need it, get it anyway. It's better to just have it and not need it than find out you need it and you don't have it, because it can definitely come in handy.
I just got one more thing I want to say. What we have to understand, those of us that's in America seeking to find living elsewhere, is that the only place you're devalued or not valued is in America. But when you leave and you go to other countries, especially on the Eastern Hemisphere, like places like Thailand and places like Egypt and places like Kenya and Sudan, and a lot of these so-called second world or third world countries and places like that, your value is very high because you're an American citizen. So you're basically like gold, and they want that authentic American accent. So these different international schools that's in these different countries will be willing to pay you top dollar or whatever currency, they have in their country.
All right. And I've seen that to be true. I've definitely seen that to be true. One of the things I also wanted to recommend is try to get a virtual mailbox or have some kind of mailbox solution, because you may still need to, I guess, receive mail. You may have to, while you're out, renew something or take care of some kind of information, paperwork or situation. And if you have a virtual mailbox, this is a service that you are paying for on a monthly basis now, but you can use this as your official mailing address. You can receive mail, and then that virtual mailbox provider will actually have the option to send you or forward your mail to you. If you have something really important and you need forwarded to you, that's an option. Now you can go the free route and have a trusted family or friend, family member or friend act as your mailing address, use their address if they're okay with it. And, it's not going to be an issue. If they support your move and they want to help in that way, that's an option. But if you rather have your own situation, that virtual mailbox can come in handy, so that if you ever do need to receive something, it can be forwarded to you and everything's kind of planned for and taken care of in that way.
Speaking of that, another thing is you can set up a Skype phone as well, just in case you need to receive text messages. Like when you verifying different things on the internet, like maybe like you need you need some type of code that's going to be sent to a phone number, but you're outside of the state, so you can't use an American phone number. Well, if you have Skype phone, that will allow you to be able to do that.
Yes, and that is a paid service or paid feature that Skype offers, by the way. So thanks for sharing that. These are some great tips. Thanks, brothers. If you have anything that...
One thing that I know a lot of people worry about is how could they connect and reach their family while they overseas. It's all kind of apps nowadays. You can have WhatsApp, you can have Telegram, you can have Rebtel, REBTEL, and these are just different ways that you can actually stay connected with family and friends, as well as you can handle things on the business side, just in case you need to make a call as far as business is concerned, anything like that.
Absolutely. And we got Zoom now. And I know Rebtel, you can actually call in the U.S. straight to somebody's phone, just like, you're in the U.S. using your cell phone to call their phone. You can call U.S. numbers directly with Rebtel, and that's an app that's available, and it's been free for U.S. numbers. So definitely a great tip, and thank you for sharing that for the audience. One of the other things I wanted to also mention is your bank. Make sure you get that travel status, put that notification in with your bank, let them know that you need travel status, put that request in so that nothing's holding or putting any kind of block or freeze on your money while you're out, because if your bank is not aware that you're traveling, they're going to see something that's suspicious because your card or your account is being accessed outside of the U.S. and they're looking like, hey, what's going on? And from my experience, a bank will put a freeze or a hold on account quick, fast, and in a heartbeat without thinking twice about it, because they're looking at it as a protection aspect, a safety aspect, trying to protect your money. And it's even better to have an international bank, a bank that has branches around the world, so that, is nothing for that bank for you to be traveling. It's part of the norm. They're international anyway, so it's going to be an easier solution.
I believe HSBC is international, right?
That is the international bank. Yeah, so they're global, and that's a good bank. I believe Citibank too is global. So there are some international banks. I'm not saying go with this bank or that bank, but we are just saying there are international banks for people who want a solution such as that. And by no means are we saying do exactly what we're saying, but we are providing information just to increase awareness and get some insight as to what options could look like. I always think it's a good idea if you're trying to relocate somewhere to learn a little bit of the language. Maybe it'll become a situation where you're fluent once you get there if you're interested, but at least some of the dialect, or at least some of the key terms that you're going to need to operate, unless that country has English as its official language, which a lot of places do now. Like a lot of countries in Africa have English as their official language. They have that will be one of their official languages, and then they might have another native tongue. So English is spoken worldwide. I know it's being overtaken by Chinese now, but English is still the dominant, language that everybody's using around the world. So, of course, if you go somewhere, you're going to run into somebody who speaks English if it's not an English speaking country, but it's good to learn their language because it shows, someone of another country, you actually appreciate, where you are, that you're not in America and you know it, you know that, it's good, it's friendly to actually share their language with them versus force everybody around you, to speak your language. So it's just a good gesture and is quite useful in some situations too, if you're going to be in a non-English speaking country. So, that's just one of the things that I've seen to be a good tip. I would say, and this is something I didn't do, and I wish I had. If you have something you love and, you're accustomed to getting it in America or wherever you're at, and you travel somewhere else, that item might not be where you go. So it could be a certain kind of medical item you need. It could be like maybe some herbs that you need for healing, or it could be some kind of skincare product that you love. That brand might not be where you're going. So take as much of that brand as legally allowed into wherever you're going, because you might not see it for a while. And I know Amazon does reach some of these other countries. You can order by Amazon, but there's no guarantee that your item could make it into the country because there are different customs regulations for different countries. So before you do leave, if you do plan to leave and you have something you love that you get in America or wherever you are, take that with you in bulk if you can. I'm not saying break any laws or break any rules, but I'm saying you might not see it again for a while. So, that's just something to consider. All right. And let's see. We went through a lot of good tips. Do you brothers have anything that hasn't already been mentioned, or anybody in the live studio, any guests who have come in? Do you have any questions about anything we've already spoken about? You can ask your questions live.
I just want to say, for people who maybe inquiring to live abroad, meet some connections, find some people that live in that area, and build a rapport with them, so you can have some connections when you go out there, so you can have somebody that can kind of show you the ropes and things like that, making friends. That's very, very important too.
Yeah, it is.
I agree with that, and that's one of the things I didn't consider. But I mean, I don't see how that can hurt. Of course, you have to be careful who you're meeting, especially if it's done online. Definitely be careful about that. But I can see how that will be very useful. I know for me, when I traveled abroad and when I, relocated, it helps to know somebody, because you're going to be like a duck out of water. You're going to be outside of everything you've always known. So say hello to culture shock, and a lot of people, that culture shock is so intense because you're in a totally different environment. You're not in Kansas anymore, so to speak. And I mean, without a support system or some social supports, it can get very lonely, isolating, and some people get so homesick they may want to go back. So just to kind of like prevent that from occurring, it is good to try to make some connections and kind of like lessen the effect of culture shock. So I definitely agree with that. One of the things that I wanted to say too is if someone is looking forward to relocating permanently, leave on good terms with family members. Please try not to, as much as possible, burn any bridges, because you never know how you may need someone's help, or you definitely don't want to burn any bridges anyway if it can be helped, because this is family. These are friends, and you want the support. You want to make sure everything is done and left off in a good place, on good terms, in a loving place. And you never know, that family member could help with a situation that may come up, because as many things as you can plan for and as much as you can plan for, you cannot plan for everything. It's not going to happen, and it's good to always have someone back that is in your corner that can help if something does come up or something does occur. So I would recommend that. Be in good standing, because a whole transition like that, or a permanent move abroad, is going to definitely affect friends and loved ones that are used to having us around. They're used to us being there. And that move is not just something that's going to affect us. It's going to affect our loved ones as well. It will be like a loss, a loss of a family member not having us around like that, and being as accessible as was the norm. So we got to kind of consider how it's going to affect family and friends, and kind of prepare them in advance, so it's not a shock on them, like, one day you were here and, now you're gone. Well, I would recommend kind of rally everybody together and let them know, and, let them ask questions, let them become comfortable with why, we may want to do this, and why we're doing it, and how their relationship is going to look with us being gone. It's still going to be the same, but it's going to be different. We're going to be in touch. This is how we're going to be in touch. And this is how you can come visit, if you need to visit. So I guess, increasing communication and increasing family in that planning period, in that preparation period, including loved ones in that as well. So they're seeing this as something that they're helping us with, versus something that's happening to them that they have no control or any kind of say or involvement in. What do you brothers think about that?
Oh yeah, definitely don't burn no bridges, with no family members and stuff like that, and definitely let your family be involved as much as the Most High will allow them to be involved with it, because it might be out of the norm to some of your family members, you want them to move outside the country and stuff like that. But well, specifically want to move to further east. You know what I'm saying? Because if you tell them you was moving to like Jamaica, well, just moving outside the country anyway, it is something your family would be concerned about. So no matter where you go, but definitely keep that rapport with your family. Keep the lines of communication open with your family. And before you leave, like, cause you might be the one who can help your family migrate to another country if need be. So you just need to keep everything regular. It's possible, and keep them up to date once you get there and things like that, so they can see, so they can be like, they can feel more safe, and then they can be like, okay, maybe I can go visit him. Or visit her. So that's very, very important, because family members will be able to help you in the way we got certain things set up with certain apps and certain different ways to send you money, and things like that, or just think about getting somebody to be your power of attorney if you plan on leaving the states and all that, and have somebody that's in your family that you trust to be your power of attorney, because you might have paperwork you might need to be signed, or anything. It is just important to have your family involved. You know what I'm saying? Definitely.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And you brought out something real key too, because family members are a good source of financial support during hard times if something unforeseen occurs. And I'm not saying look at family members as, oh, somebody, people who can bring money, but you just never know what's going to happen. And your loved ones, of course, are going to be there and want to help, especially if their relationship is intact and we haven't done anything to burn bridges. And another thing that you said kind of sparked an idea too is, as Hebrew Israelites, and for our audience, Israelitesses, we are doing, the work of the Most High, and we are being a light to all those around us in our walk, and showing, the mission of Christ, and walking godly to further and spread the gospel and all of that. So our family members are looking at us too, and we want to be righteous examples. So we don't want to be offending and hurting anyone if we can avoid it. And of course, we don't always know what we're doing. We make mistakes, but for some of you who just came in, we are a panel of experts, so to speak, because we're not just saying, look into some options outside of America. We have already done it. We have already visited places outside of America. We have already lived in places outside of America. We have already relocated to places. So, we have that experience and that knowledge behind us. We've actually done it, and we are more than willing to help someone do the same, and especially avoid any kind of pitfalls and do things, in a smarter and in a wiser way, if at all possible. So that's why we're here. For those who do believe you are supposed to migrate or flee America or flee Babylon, you have support. There are brothers and sisters who have already done it and more than willing to help, point you in a direction that you're interested in going if the Most High is telling you to do something. So thank you for sharing it. And with the power of attorney, that was like really, really good as far as a tip. That didn't cross my list, but it should have. Thank you for picking that up, because I definitely dropped that. I did not think of that one, but that's so good. And if you don't have anyone you trust to be your power of attorney, you can still get things notarized, like notarize.com. I've used that one and it works. It's pretty fast. You can do it completely 100% online, get documents, important documents notarized. So there are a lot of options. We are in a technology age. Everything's going digital now. So, just rest assured that there's probably a solution to a problem, but it is good to have a family member or a loved one that is willing to step in and help if at all possible. So I really appreciate that tip. That was great. And I don't have any other tips at the moment, but I'm definitely going to put some links when I upload this episode for anyone who came in later. Don't worry about missing anything. This episode is recorded. It will be uploaded and you'll be able to get the full episode and all of the information that we brought. If you have questions right now, anyone who's there live, anyone who has entered, you can chat. You can put your questions in the chat. We'll answer them as best we can, or you can just call in, speak directly to us if you want to do that. We're available every Wednesday live, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at Israelitesses United. We have two brothers here from God Family Nation, and this is Brother Inayan and Brother Palal, and they have a lot of wisdom and they have a lot of experience that they can share. They're very good brothers. The Most High has been blessing their ministry. And if no one has any other tips, I wanted to just leave with the most important tip. If the Most High God of the Hebrews said, go, get thee out of Babylon, get out of America, do not hesitate. Be like Abraham and go. It's very natural to kind of think and consider about how you're going to make money, how you're going to do this, how you're going to do that. But we have to consider the flowers. We have to consider everything that the Most High created that he takes care of on a daily basis. The sparrow, like he said, how he feeds the birds. We don't have to worry about anything. Of course, we are taught to fear the unknown. We are taught to worry and be stressed about what things that are outside of our control. But that's not what the Most High told us to do. The Most High told us to obey him, have faith, and he's going to take care of us. So I've seen it to be true. We have taken that leap of faith and I've seen it to be true. Of course, there are going to be some things in trials and tribulations, but when did Christ say we weren't going to have trials and tribulations? I don't remember seeing that part, that everything was going to be, smooth and, it's going to be gravy and there are not going to be any kind of setbacks or any kind of trials that come around, tests, to try us. So with that being said, if the Most High put it on our spirits to do something, we best believe we need to be obeying the Most High, because he speaks to us and he's there for us. And we need to go ahead and do what we need to do according to his will. Is not our will, but his will be done. He has a purpose for our lives and his will is divine. Even if we don't understand it, that's not our role to understand. Our role is to serve the Most High, obey him. And, like I said, faith without works is dead. Do you brothers have any last remarks or comments you want to bring before we get ready to close out?
I just
I don't have no.
Go ahead, my bad.
No, I was just saying I don't have nothing. You pretty much said enough. You said what was needed to be said.
All praise to the Most High.
I just want to give the information where the audience can find us at. You can find us. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Okay, we're on Facebook under God Family Nation, all one word. We're on Instagram at God Family Nation 144. You can find us on anchor.fm/GFN. And our email is godfamilynation, all one word, at keymail, that's KEE mail.me. So godfamilynation at keymail.me. If you would like to be a part of our podcast show, you can send a message to us or you can email us and let us know. We also are on YouTube under God Family Nation as well. We release a podcast every Monday. However, we record live every Sunday. We release it every Monday. So if you'd like to be a part of the live podcast, you can just follow us on Facebook and we'll drop the link each and every week for you to be part of our live podcast. That's it.
Okay, thank you so much again, Brother Inayan and Brother Palal from God Family Nation, GFN. Thank you so much for coming and just bringing what the Most High put on your spirit to bring, and definitely help uplift our people and help our people understand we do have options. We're not stuck in America. If the Most High put on your spirit to flee, get thee out, deliver thyself, then do it. Do it. Some of us have already done it. We're fine, and I'm not saying go jump into anything blind and go join a group and do. I'm not saying anything like that, but I'm saying do what the Most High put on your spirit to do. And if you have questions and need support, there are brothers and sisters who are available and more than willing to help and support. Okay. Thank you again, guests. Thank you again for everyone in the live audience coming and tuning in to another live episode of Israelitesses United. And again, I'm Sister Yaya. We have our live show every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can download the Podbean app like some of you have already done. So you can just join our live studio and our live shows. You can interact live with us via chat. You can call in and ask your questions directly. We have an Instagram that I'll be sharing soon. We have YouTube at Israelitesses United on YouTube, and it's just a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to have this platform for sisters to just come together. Like I said, deal, heal, and build. That's what we're all about. And, it's the Most High has just been working, and it's a blessing and privilege to come and just share what the Most High is putting on our spirits to do. All right. That's it. That's all we have for today. And as always, peace and blessings.
Peace.